So we've talked about the fact that in Act 2, we're developing these characters. We're seeing their conflicts kind of develop too. And we said that at the end of scene 2, Walter kind of seemed to have a new sense of optimism. Based on these stage directions as Walter comes in, has that continued with our 1 week gap? Yes. Notice that he comes in excited. This is a very visual part, so it may not work as well here on the audio, but hopefully we will have the time that we can watch it towards the end here. Walter comes in, he's excited, he's going to put this record on, he's going to come over to his wife. They're going to start to dance, and they're going to dance in a way that, you know, it's a little like bump and grindy today. It's a little more, you know, what you would do. It's very sensual. So it's something maybe you wouldn't do in front of your sister, for example. So they're going to kind of move in this way that Beneath is going to make fun of, but it shows that passion, that excitement. Now think for a second. Ruth's big conflict here is that she's pregnant. We've talked about this abortion. Does it seem like it's going to happen anymore? No. And so we want to keep that in mind. We've kind of resolved this more or less. It's not going to happen. We're going to move on past that. So as he comes in, you're going to notice your stage directions tell you they're dancing. Obviously, since we're doing audio, we can't see it.
Hey, Abby, what you doing, man? What you got there? That's your husband. Yes, he is.
Just listen.
Oh,
Hey, come on, baby.
talk about old-fashioned Negro.
Oh. What kind of Negroes?
Old-fashioned.
You know, when all these professional new Negroes have their convention, my sister here is going to be the chairman of the committee of unending agitation. Race. Girl, I do believe you are the first person in the history of the entire human race to successfully brainwash your own self. Damn, even the NAACP take a holiday sometimes. Oh, I could just see that chick someday looking down at some polecat on the operating table, and before she starts to slice it, she'll say, now, what did you say your views on civil rights were?
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
How do you do?
Okay, so let's clear up a couple things and then talk about the stage directions here before we move on. First, notice the change in Walter, even with Benita. They have always picked at each other, but what we see is the playful picking here. There is no anger, there is no tension. Walter's tone of indictment seems to be gone. Remember early in the play we said every time he talks to somebody, that tone, that quality of indictment in his voice makes it their fault. But here he's being playful. Do you know what the NAACP is? He name checks it. So it's a group, stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It is a very old and establishment group, early 1900s, I think. I don't think it goes into the 19th century, but looking towards that idea of equity. And so he's trying to point out, God, girl, why does everything have to be about race with you? And then she opens the door here. And what does she find?
Middle-aged white man in business, holding a hat and a briefcase, consulting a piece of paper.
Yes. Would any of you have expected that in this play, when we open the door in this apartment, there'd be a white guy standing on the doorstep? No. And so notice how she frames this. They just have a whole conversation about everything with you has to be about race. And boom, almost as though they've said Beetlejuice 3 times. Here's a white guy. He's well dressed. Is that what you'd expect in this neighborhood? Nope. So we give you somebody completely different. His name, he will eventually introduce himself, is Carl Lindner. Notice how as he starts to talk, he's going to speak very differently from them. Notice how the stage directions are going to really inform his attitude and the way he is feeling. Pay very close attention to that.
Dear Miss, I'm looking for Mrs. Lena Young.
Oh, yes, that's my mother. Excuse me. Ruth, brother.
Huh.
There's a white man at the door. Come in, please.
Thank you.
My mother isn't here just now. Is it business?
Yes, well, of a sort.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
I'm Mrs. Younger's son. I look after most of her business matters.
Well, my name is Carl Lindner.
Walter Younger. This is my wife and my sister.
How do you do?
What can we do for you, Mr. Lindner?
Well, I am a representative of the Clybourne Park Improvement Association.
Why don't you sit your things on the couch?
Oh, yes, thank you. So as I was saying, I am from the Clybourne Park Improvement Association, and we have had it brought to our attention that you people, or at least your mother, has bought a piece of residential property at 406 Clybourne Street.
That's right. Care for something to drink? Ruth, get Mr. Lindner a beer.
No, really. No, I mean, thank you very much, but no, thank you.
Some coffee?
Thanks, nothing at all. Well, I don't know how much you folks know about our organization. It is one of these community organizations set up to look after, things like block upkeep and special projects. And we also have what we call our New Neighbors Orientation Committee.
Yes. And what do they do?
Well, it's what you might call a sort of a welcoming committee, I guess. I mean, I'm the chairman, go around and we see the new people who move into the neighborhood and sort of give them the lowdown on the way we do things out in Clybourne Park.
Uh-huh.
And we also sort of have a category of the association that we call special community problem.
Yes. And what are some of those?
Benny, let the man talk.
Okay, before he goes on, what do you notice?
Really seems to catch on that something's wrong.
Uh-huh. Now remember, the play is structured in a way where they've told you that to Benita, everything is about race. And so what does she assume is wrong here? What do we know about this neighborhood? It's all white. Here's this guy showing up, and look at some of the things he's talking about. He mentioned specifically right before we cut off about special community problems. He's here to talk about how they do things in Clybourne Park. So, what are you thinking?
That they think they're going to take trash everything and take animals.
They won't be welcome to today.
Uh-huh. So Benita is very hesitant, on point. Even in some productions, remember that they're hammering crates. And when we're talking about moving back in the 1950s, they had literally wooden crates they would nail shut. In some productions, Benita picks up a hammer right about here and kind of plays with it. Yeah. And so they're going to continue. Benita's on point, but you notice that Walter's just like, hey, shut up. Let the guy talk. Be nice.
Thank you. I would sort of like to explain this in my own way. I mean, I want to explain in a certain way.
Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I'm going to try to get right to the point. We'll all appreciate that in the long run.
Yes.
Benny, be still now.
Well,
Would you like another chair? You don't look comfortable.
oh, no, thank you very much. Please, to get right to the point, I am sure you people must be aware of some of the incidents that have happened when colored people move into certain areas. Well, because we have what I think is going to be a unique type of organization in American community life. Not only do we deplore that kind of thing, but we are trying to do something about it.
Oh.
See, we feel that most of the trouble in this world, when you come right down to it, most of the trouble exists because people just don't sit down and talk to each other.
You can say that again, mister.
That we don't try hard enough to understand the other fellow's problem, the other guy's point of view.
No, that's right.
Okay. Should Benitha be worried based on what Mr. Lindner is saying? No. And so notice that in some ways the author has tricked you. She has made it clear early that Benitha is so concerned about race that she comes out of the gates concerned here, hey, there's a white guy, hey, he's talking about how things are done. But once we give him a chance to talk, no, he's here literally to talk. They feel like people don't sit down, people aren't clear and open. So notice that the stage directions tell you Benitha calms down a little bit here. She's hearing what he's saying. Okay, maybe I was a little on edge. Maybe I was wrong.
Yes. And that's why I was elected to come here this afternoon and talk to you people and see if we couldn't find some way to work this thing out. See, anybody can see that you are a nice family of folks, hardworking and honest, I'm sure. Today, everybody knows what it means to be an outsider. And of course, there is always somebody who is out to take advantage of people who don't understand.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, our community is made up of people who've worked hard as the dickens all these years to build up that little community. We're not rich and fancy people, just hard-working, honest people who don't really have much but those little houses and a dream of the kind of community we want to raise our children in. Now, I don't say we are perfect, and there is a lot of wrong in some of the things we want, but you've got to admit that a man, right or wrong, has the right to want to have the neighborhood he lives in a certain kind of way. And at the moment, the overwhelming majority of our people out there feel that people get along better, take more of a common interest in the life of the community when they share a common background. Now, I want you to believe me.
Wait, what did he just say?
We share common background,
Which means?
same race.
When I tell you that race prejudice simply doesn't enter into it. It is a matter of people of Clybourne Park believing, rightly or wrongly, as I say, that for the happiness of all concerned, that our Negro families are happier when they live in their own communities.
This, friends, is the welcoming committee.
Okay, so should Benitha have been worried? Yeah, notice that she swerves you really well here. This is a skilled writer at work. She seeds an idea in early with having Benitha be so concerned about race. She has her lean into it, but then seem to relax her only to then come back and punch her in the face with it. Boom, we don't want you here. Now, watch Walter's reaction. When they sat down with Mr. Lindner, he says, I take care of my mother's business affairs. And the two ladies looked at him like, what? Like, give me a break. Remember, Walter has struggled with his manhood here.
Is this what you came marching all the way over here to tell us?
Well, now we've been having a fine conversation. I hope you'll hear me all the way through.
Go ahead, man.
You see, in the face of all the things I have said, we are prepared to make your family a very generous offer.
30 pieces and not a coin less.
Yeah.
Our association is prepared through a collected effort of our people to buy the house from you at a financial gain to your family.
Lord have mercy, ain't this the living God?
All right, you through?
Well, I want to give you the exact terms of the arrangement.
We don't want to hear no exact terms or no arrangements. I want to know if you got any more to tell us about getting together.
I don't suppose that you
Well,
feel.
never mind how I feel. You got any more to say about how people ought to sit down and talk to each other? Get out of my house, man.
Well, I don't understand why you people are reacting this way. I mean, what do you think you're going to gain by moving where you aren't wanted? And there are some elements, well, People can get awfully worked up when they feel that their whole way of life and everything they've ever worked for is threatened.
Get out.
I'm sorry it went like this.
Get out.
You just can't force people to change their hearts, son.
Okay. Let's talk about how we kind of resolve some things here and some pieces we want to pay attention to. So first, we had said when this scene starts, we pretty well have resolved this conflict. We're good. Once Lindner tells them, what is it that he's there to do?
Take them to sell the house back to them.
Yes, the people in the neighborhood are willing to pool their money and pay the younger family more than they put down on this house to not move there. And so think about the fact that this isn't just like, we're going to intimidate you. They're coming at this like, we will give you more money than we know you have. And it's coming out of our own pockets because we don't want you here. Now, Benitha throws in a comment. When he says this, she says 30 pieces and no less. Anybody have a reference for what she's talking about? This is what we call an allusion. It's a reference to a biblical story. When Jesus was, turned on by Judas, Judas accepted 30 pieces of silver to turn Jesus in to the Romans. And so here she's kind of equating it the same way, that for us to take this money from you is no less than turning in Christ. It goes against everything they believe. It goes against everything that they have. How does Walter respond?
Didn't he say the same thing? Tell them to get out.
Yep. Remember that Walter's big struggle in this play is manhood. When does he stand up? When does he take a stand? How does he act like a man rather than like a boy? And here we finally get an instance where he does. Remember, we've kind of seen Walter struggle with, I want this liquor store. Money would get me this liquor store. But here he takes the stand of pride over money. Get out. They're going to have a moment to kind of process what's happened here because this is pretty serious. Here it is moving day, and a guy shows up from the neighborhood to be like, we don't want you, and we're willing to buy you out. Dang. So there's a moment of like, whew, when he leaves, and they all just kind of look at each other stunned. And then Mama's going to come in. Mama's missed this whole thing. Remember, the house is in her name. And so we're going to see how the kids sort of react here as Mama comes in. And how does this tone kind of play out?
Please let me leave my car.
Get out.
Ain't this the
I knew it
living
wasn't
goal?
a start.
We worked hard at the stuff. Get out.
Travis, baby, take them boxes into the bedroom for Grandma.
Yes, ma'am. Well, this all the packing got done since I left out of here this morning. I testify before God that my children got all the energy of the dead. What time the moving men do?
4 o'clock. You had a caller, Mama.
Sure enough. Who?
The welcoming committee.
Who?
The welcoming committee. They said they sure gonna be glad to see you when you get there.
Yeah, they said they can't hardly wait to see your face.
What's the matter with you all?
Ain't nothing matter with us. But we just tell you about the gentleman that came to see you from the Clybourne Park Improvement Association.
What do you want?
To welcome you, honey.
He said if there's one thing they don't have, that they just dying to have out there, and it's a fine family, a fine color.
Yeah, he left his car.
In case.
Okay. Tell me how the tone shifts here. When Mama comes in, is this the tone you expected them to greet Mama with? No. Remember, this was pretty serious with what this guy did. And instead they start joking about it. Because really, what else are you going to do in a time like this? Let's be fair and let's be honest. Do you think they kind of expected this? They knew what they were getting into. They knew that this was going to be a possibility. And so here you notice how they play it up. Now, normally when we get an actor to play Carl Lindner, we want somebody that they can make fun of. Notice that they do that voice, that white guy voice. We want to play the stereotype up because we don't want Carl Lindner to be anybody that you're going to be afraid of. We're not going to send a 6'5" guy who's all jacked up to play Carl Lindner. We want it to be the most unassuming, scared, nervous white guy you possibly can. The last guy you'd expect to be racist in any way. And here he is delivering this message. Boom. And so they make fun of him. But notice that your stage directions here after those lines have Mama process that card. Because to her, she gets it. She gets the weight of it. They want to present it in a silly way. They want to make fun of it because they've had time to process this. But for Mama, it's going to take her a little bit to kind of come to terms with what's been presented here.
Mama, give us strength. Did he threaten us?
Oh, Mama, they don't do it like that anymore. He talked brotherhood. He said everybody ought to learn how to sit down and hate each other with good Christian fellowship.
Lord protect us.
Oh, you should hear the money these folks raised to buy the house back.
All we paid and then some. What do they think we're gonna do? Eat them?
No, honey, marry him.
Lord, Lord.
Well, that's the way the crackers crumble.
Joke.
What are you doing?
Fixing my plant so it won't get hurt none on the way.
Mama, you wanna take that to the new house?
Uh-huh.
That raggedy looking old thing?
It expresses me.
Oh, so there, Miss Thing.
So notice they play up that joke from Act 1 again about how Benita wants to express herself. And then you notice your stage directions have them all like pointing and talking around Mama here. They're about to present her with something, and they're going to continue that kind of lightsome tone.
Mama.
Mr. Walsh. Hey.
Look out now, boy. You make me mess up my thing here.
Mama, you know what it means to climb up in the chariot?
Gonna take it.
Get on the way.
Gilson.
Now, roll down.
So what's those songs say now, Mama? I got wings, you got wings. Oh gosh, sure got wings.
Yeah,
Out of my face and do some work.
When I get to heaven, gonna put on my wings, gonna fly all over God's heaven.
Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there.
I don't know, y'all. You think we ought to give her this present? It seems to me she ain't been very cooperative around here.
What is it? What's in that box?
Well, what y'all think? Should we give it to her?
Oh, she was pretty good today.
How good you.
Open it, Mama.
Open it, Mama. It's for you.
Okay, I want to process the stage directions here before she opens this gift because we can't lose sight of this moment. Most of us think, okay, you bought a gift. It's moving day. All right, makes sense. Mama's never been given a gift just because. So you got to understand, to put this gift in front of her is a weighty, big deal. It's not just like, oh, look, we bought something for you today at the store. This is a big moment. And we're also going to follow it up with another big moment.
Read the note, Mama. Who wrote the note?
To our own Mrs. Miniver. Love from Brother Ruth and Benita. Ain't that lovely?
What did they buy her?
The card.
Well, they made the card. What's in the box?
Random sharpening set of gardening tools.
Gardening tools. Remember, Mama wants a house so that she can have a garden. And here we continue that idea of Mama being the caretaker. She does these things, but Travis has bought his grandmother his own gift.
Thank you, son.
Daddy, can I give her mine now?
Oh, all right, son.
Now I got these fancy garden tools. I don't have to use my knives and forks no more.
If Travis didn't want to go in with the rest of us, Mama, he got his own. We don't know what it is yet.
Here, Grandmama.
Lord, Mercy, baby, you done bought your grandmother a hat? Open it. Travis, honey, what is that?
It's a gardening hat. Like the ladies always have on in the magazines when they work in their garden.
Travis, you were trying to make Mama Mrs. Minifer, not Scarlett O'Hara.
What's the matter with y'all? This here is a beautiful hat. I always wanted me one just like it.
Oh, hot dog, go, Mama.
I'm sorry, Mama, but you look like you getting ready to go out and chop you some cotton, so enough.
Bless your heart, Travis. This is the prettiest hat I ever owned. What we all standing around here for? We ain't finished packing yet. Benny, you ain't packed one book.
Okay. This is where we're going to stop for today. So notice that Travis buys her a hat, and we got to see that this is like comically large and ugly. Think about when little kids pick out clothes for adults. They don't always pick out the things that are fashionable to an adult sense. They pick out the things that they think look cool. And if you ever look at how little kids dress, they kind of dress like clowns. They wear bright colors, sparkles, just, obnoxious crap. And so when Mama puts his hat on, like, it's nothing but comedy. But notice that it needs to be. We had a really serious moment in this scene when Mr. Lindner offers them the buyout. We got to counter that by getting the audience happy and excited. I want to show you what the Lindner scene looks like in a play. That way you can get a